It's been just about a week since Wuthering Waves launched its version 2.0, giving players all across the world the opportunity to experience the mystical land of Rinascita in all of its echo-fueled glory. And it's safe to say that this version update has taken all of the doubts gacha players might have had about Kuro Games' success in the open-world gacha action RPG genre and obliterated them completely. Over 7 months in the making since the launch of the game's 1.0 version back on May 22nd, Rinascita and 2.0 have captivated the gacha audience with absurd feature updates, incredible streamlining of previously clunky game mechanics, and of course, a brilliant cast of new characters that have turned the in-game world and story into one of the most engaging experiences in gacha gaming. Kuro hit it out of the park with this one, and even the most die-hard fans of Hoyoverse games and its heavily sponsored creators have had nothing but amazing things to say about this update. When the devs do something amazing, it's in the player base's best interest to give them their laurels, and that's what Kuro's done here with version 2.0. And today we'll be taking the time to break down what made Rinascita so freaking great, diving into the abundance of improvements these devs have made to the game across 2.0, ranging from its captivating reimagination of the story, don't worry, this will be spoiler-free, to its undeniably engaging overworld and exploration experience, all the way to the functional feature updates that have made enjoying Wuthering Waves easier than ever. There are still some wrinkles that need to be ironed out, rest assured, but if 2.0 is the benchmark for every WuWa update moving forward, it's safe to say that this game will easily hold the title of the best in gacha gaming. As always, if you're enjoying this content, please hit that like and subscribe button. One of the biggest critiques made towards Wuthering Waves across its entire 1.0 to 1.4 story was the disjointed and main character-focused way that its story panned out, with a large emphasis placed on how Rover, the main character, had paved the foundation for pretty much every single story beat in the game. Despite having some incredibly cinematic moments and a star-studded cast of lovable characters, tying the MC in across every plot point had players and critics lamenting the lack of interactions across the rest of the cast, specifically with each other. Version 2.0 and Rinascita changed that completely. While characters in 1.0 would constantly mention their past experiences or admiration of Rover across virtually all of their main and story quests, there's been a completely opposite dynamic in the Land of Echoes. Nobody knows who Rover is at all, aside from a few pivotal background characters. And what this means is that every bit of character progression for the MC, for the playable cast, and even the NPCs feels organic, nuanced, and perhaps most importantly of all, earned. The player witnesses firsthand why Rover should care for these characters and why these characters should care for Rover, rather than relying on previously established footholds in Rover's past to deliver critical plot points. Players see everything firsthand, and if there's anything important that happens off-screen, it's adequately explained in detail across subsequent questlines that fit every missing piece into the puzzle Kuro's crafted across their main story quest. And that main story quest? It's long. Potentially one of the longest in gacha gaming, but the pacing of important story events allows time for a satisfying build-up, explosive climax, and plenty of time to decompress before moving on to the next segment of the adventure. The tale doesn't have any drawn-out, dull, and disengaging dialogue bloat that dampens the overall experience. Instead, you have just enough detail and description to keep things fresh as you progress from plot point to plot point, all while experiencing some of the most breathtaking and fantastic cinematics that the genre has seen yet. There's a reason why Carlotta Montelli, one of the major focuses of version 2.0, is now a lot of people's favorite character. It's not just because of her design, power level, or voice actresses, but because of how brilliantly organic her development has been through both cutscenes and dialogue across the entire version. It could be said that Wuthering Waves isn't beating the Gathering Wives allegations with her, but there are very few people complaining when a relationship is built up as well as this across the story. Another factor that contributed immensely to the engagement of 2.0's quests was the absolutely fantastic voice work across its characters and even the NPCs. There are an incredible blend of regional accents and fantastic voice direction that make every conversation feel incredibly fresh. It could be the seductively French accent from the mask shop owner or the brilliantly English tones of Carlotta. Everything, or well, most of it, just works. There are some questionable implementations, specifically with characters like Rosia or some NPCs across Carlotta's story quest, but it's too early to make any conclusions for Rosia, especially given that her banner and story quest will be releasing in the latter half of the patch. Check the pinned comment comments on this video at a later date to get my final take on her performance. Moving on from the story, it's time to talk about the world in which it's taking place. Rinascita is the best region in gacha gaming. Nothing comes close from a visual design, functionality, and fulfillment perspective. Early on in the story, players are treated to one of the best overviews of the region the genre has ever seen. A beautiful, wide, panning shot of nearly all of the region's explorable areas, and with it, immediate access to the best exploration tool in the business: flight. With so many differing elevations across the landscape and an absurd amount of land to actually explore, players are able to quickly navigate these massive additions with ease after getting accustomed to flight itself. And with the gadget restoring its stamina at any time it's not in use, with big boosts to its reserve as you complete exploration, leisurely gliding across the landscape and simply taking the sights in quickly becomes one of the best pastimes a player can have in the game, something few players expected from a game with such a heavy combat focus. However, flight wasn't the only incredible addition the devs made across exploration. There's also the new and improved loot areas with easily detectable chests with the sensor, and expanded range for the region's caskets, which can be turned in to unlock more helpful features like the loot mapper, unique combat challenges that require specific attacks or completion conditions for full rewards, dozens of interactable puzzles, and easy-to-use, constantly accessible echo transformations, and of course, an abundance of side and world quests that'll keep you engaged as you explore this incredible land, with plenty of hidden surprises that reward the player for looking into every nook and cranny in the region. There's a lot to do, a lot to explore, and a lot of rewards for every player looking to 100% the region. And with detailed tracking of every hidden objective in an easily accessible menu, it's never been easier to reach that goal. The only complaint that I could have when it comes to exploration is that the loot mapper, an essential tool for discovering hidden chests and collectibles, is only unlocked at casket level 6, which can take quite a while to get to. However, this only encourages players to organically explore the region and immerse themselves in the world, and with how seamless all of its existing exploration tools are, I haven't found myself missing this utility much at all. Rinascita is, without a doubt, one of the best exploration experiences in not just gacha gaming, but gaming as a whole. However, it does arguably make regions like Huanglong feel like much more of a chore to explore, especially without the ability to fly. Let's see if Kuro adapts any of the existing 1.0 regions in the future to potentially implement this feature. With exploration and the story covered, it's time to get into the new gameplay features, and Kuro kept player experience top of mind with the additions in 2.0. With synthesis available at the touch of a button, when it previously required navigation to a nearby city, upgrading characters and creating materials, especially with the new conversion feature, has never been easier, rewarding day one players massively for their stockpile of mob mats, while making it easier than ever for new players to upgrade the oldest additions to the roster. There's no more need to farm exiles, ever, and that's made the gameplay experience better than ever. The devs also added a fair number of new Sonata sets designed to aid older members of the roster like Yinlin, Jeja, and Spectral Rover, while also creating the foundation for some newer releases. When factoring in all of the new attribute effects like Spectral Frazzle, it's clear that combat, widely regarded as Wuwa's strongest feature, is only going to get more depth as the game progresses in versions. The addition of Nightmare Echoes with their built-in damage boosts have also added a massive amount of potential to older DPSs on the roster, effectively reversing power creep even more as new characters release. However, this has led to more painful encounters with RNG as players try to upgrade their gear, but this is still a fantastic measure to increase the overall power levels of every character, instead of just the newest limited releases. We've all seen what's happened to titles like Honkai Star Rail. However, all of this comes at a cost, and it's clear that the most recent iteration of the Tower of Adversity endgame mode is one of the most difficult yet, especially for players who haven't been investing in all of the different DPSs. There's unfortunately been an increase in the predatory advantages and disadvantages across the TOA focused on resistances, especially on its middle floor, and many are concerned with the level of investment and skill required to clear these stages if you aren't pulling on the newest on-banner character, especially when these stages previously had a general attribute damage buff that benefited the entire roster. But this is one area that the player base can heavily focus their feedback on to get Kuro making some more player-friendly changes. They've proven themselves time and time again, from version 1.0 all the way to 2.0, that they're a company that actually listens to feedback and makes changes. It's likely they'll lean back on the predatory practices here with enough of that feedback. Overall, Rinascita and 2.0 have turned Wuthering Waves into, frankly, a brand new game, and it's clear why the devs have given new players the option to skip all the way to the new region after completing just a few early acts of the game. Nearly everything's better, from story to exploration to the general gameplay itself, and knowing how Kuro quite literally listens and have been for over 7 months, who knows where the limit for this game's potential will be. This version is an easy 9 to 9.5 out of 10. As always, if you enjoyed this content, please hit that like and subscribe button. Peace out.